Alright, good evening ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Compound Interesting. This is Emil, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Elon Musk and why I think in the near future he's going to be putting some of Tesla's 20 billion or so cash reserves into Bitcoin, or maybe just a portion of it into Bitcoin, and why I think if this happens it will completely break the internet and Bitcoin's price would probably go crazy on news of Elon Musk being interested in Bitcoin or disclosing some position in Bitcoin. So we're going to look at the clues that this might happen in the near future. But first, I think we should start with the history of Elon Musk, the history of Elon Musk with Bitcoin. So he hasn't been a huge fan of Bitcoin in the past. He's kind of always been on the fence, kind of neither here nor there when it comes to Bitcoin. So we'll have a look at Elon's thoughts on Bitcoin in the past and how they're slowly starting to change. And I think very soon they will flip, or maybe they already have flipped, and he will be disclosing a Bitcoin position for Tesla or personally in the near future. So with all that said, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button, and if you're new around here, make sure to hit that big juicy red button right there. Alright, with all that said, let's get cracking straight away. Right, so Elon Musk is regarded as probably the smartest man on the planet right now, and he's now, as of a couple of days ago, the richest man on the planet. So it's very informative, and a lot of people kind of think, oh, Elon and Bitcoin, they're two kind of revolutionary projects, I guess you could say. Everyone always wanted to know what Elon's thoughts were on Bitcoin because, you know, he's very smart and can see the future of the human race and what would be good for the future of the human race. So the fact that Elon wasn't really interested in Bitcoin for a long time, or still potentially isn't really interested in Bitcoin, keeps a lot of people skeptical about Bitcoin. So one of the reasons I postulate why why Elon Musk might be a bit skeptical about Bitcoin is his history. So if you didn't know, Elon Musk founded Zip2, which merged into PayPal. But Elon's original vision with PayPal was to kind of create one database, one eco center where all payments were put through. That was the grand vision for PayPal in Elon Musk's mind. So you'd go to the shop, they would be using PayPal, you would use your PayPal account to pay the shop through PayPal, and everything would be done through PayPal. So it's kind of like what Square is now. So Square have the Cash app, and they have Square, like, you know, in the shops, the Square terminals. So it's his original vision with PayPal was kind of be to disrupt banks completely and just have one database where all the money could flow very, very quickly in a centralized system. So that's kind of one of the reasons I think he was kind of always a bit skeptical about Bitcoin. It's because Bitcoin is very analogous to that. So it's completely decentralized, not a centralized system. Bitcoin isn't efficient or cheap to do transactions like the way Square would be, or some sort of centralized database system like Elon Musk's original vision for PayPal was. So I'm just going to play a little clip for you from Elon Musk a good few years ago, talking about this and talking about Bitcoin.
You mentioned the startup of PayPal, which is a great innovation that happened in sort of how we pay for things. That seems to me an area in which there hasn't been as much subsequent innovation other than Bitcoin as there should be. In other words, quickly transferring money, especially to people you don't know or whatever, is, to me, maybe I'm wrong, far more difficult than it seems like it should be. Are you somewhat disappointed with the way PayPal then proceeded, or are you disappointed with the lack of innovation in the digital currency environment?
Yeah, PayPal has definitely, I mean, it hasn't moved much since from when it was sort of bought by eBay. The long-term vision that I had for PayPal, or sort of in sort of finance, was to well, it sounds a bit strange, like to convert the financial system from a series of heterogeneous, insecure databases to one database, or, well, not one database, but maybe there'd be like a few more. The money is just a number in a database. That's what it is. And it's primarily an information mechanism for labor allocation. And the current databases are not very efficient. Like there are these old legacy mainframes that don't talk to each other very well, have poor security, and do bash processing once a day.
Are you glad PayPal is being spun off?
It's probably the right move.
And what would you do with it?
Well, I think I converted it into more of a full-service financial institution. So you want to do all the things that the consumer. You want to have like all the financial services that somebody needs in one place, seamlessly integrated together and easy to use. And I think really care about the consumer. I think a lot of banks don't seem to care that much about the customer. So I think there's an opportunity to be like a really good bank, effectively, but much more than what people think of as.
Do you think Bitcoin will be disruptive in that way? I mean, now it's a speculative currency. Will it be something that will be what normal consumers will use and will disrupt the banking industry?
My opinion of Bitcoin is that, I think Bitcoin is probably a good thing, but it's essentially, its main thing will be, I mean, this will probably get quoted here and there, but I think it's primarily going to be a means of doing illegal transactions. But that's not necessarily entirely bad. It's not, some things shouldn't be illegal. But
the combination of Silk Road and Bitcoin will save us?
Well, it will be useful for legal and illegal transactions. Otherwise, it would have no value as a use for legal transactions, because you have to have a legal to illegal bridge.
Yeah.
I don't own any Bitcoin, by the way.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that quick clip. We can see his fascinating vision for PayPal. Totally revolutionary. Would have been so amazing if he had stayed on board with PayPal and created that kind of ecosystem of payments. But he went on to bigger and better things like Tesla and SpaceX, so it's probably better that he did leave PayPal in the end. All right, so let's move on. So that was kind of Elon's original thoughts on Bitcoin. Now let's move on to his kind of couple of years ago thoughts on Bitcoin. And let's say this was like 2018, 2019. His kind of only use case, or the main use case in his mind for Bitcoin, as you saw in that clip, was illegal trade. Elon's right, Bitcoin was and is useful for illegal trade, but still a very small percentage of Bitcoin transactions are illegal trade transactions, just like with cash. So I think Elon had done quite a lot of research into Bitcoin, but probably not enough to have a full picture of the use cases for Bitcoin, because if you're a Bitcoin believer or you're interested in Bitcoin or you're not interested in Bitcoin at all, I can tell you that Bitcoin has a lot more use cases than just being an illegal way to send value across the globe. So maybe Elon hadn't dug deep enough into Bitcoin to really be sold on its use case at the time, and I don't think he really needed to. Obviously, it's way bigger things on his plate than Bitcoin, or like trying to make some money off investing in Bitcoin. There's way bigger fish for him to fry, so I'm glad he didn't dig too deep. Don't get me wrong, he definitely has a very strong understanding of it, but like it's not the primary focus of his life's mission, so maybe he doesn't care so much about what Bitcoin is doing. But then now we can see with Bitcoin's latest price run that his interest has been re-sparked. And look at this hilarious meme that he put out recently. So this meme got 400,000 likes, 44,000 retweets. But the interesting thing is Michael Saylor, who you might know, he invested just over $1 billion into Bitcoin personally, and through his company MicroStrategy, they converted their balance sheet into Bitcoin. So let's read his reply. If you want to do your shareholders a $100 billion favor, convert the Tesla balance sheet from USD to Bitcoin. Other firms on the S&P 500 would follow your lead, and in time it would grow to become a $1 trillion favor. And Elon Musk doesn't just brush him away or call him a simulation or something else. He actually says, are such large transactions even possible? So some people think he's just kind of trolling because but such large transactions are possible. But Michael Saylor assumes he's not trolling and says, yes, I purchased over $1.3 billion in Bitcoin in the past months and would be happy to share my playbook with you offline, from one rocket scientist to another. And Elon didn't reply, and we don't know if Elon did contact Michael Saylor after that. So that's the first clue that Elon Musk is kind of opening his mind up to the potentiality of investing in Bitcoin. We'll also get into why this move would be beneficial for Bitcoin, or sorry, would be beneficial for Tesla. Then straight after that meme, he tweets, Bitcoin is almost as BS as fiat money. So yeah, I don't think we should try and dig too deeply into these tweets, what they actually mean. But yeah, he's just kind of, trolling. Bitcoin is not his primary focus whatsoever. It's just kind of a side curiosity for him. So I wouldn't dig too deeply into what these tweets mean. I wouldn't say he spent hours trying to conjure up these tweets. So there's not some crazy meaning behind it, but just maybe just from the surface of what he's saying is that at least Bitcoin is less shit than fiat money. So that's a positive, but maybe not a crazy positive, like, oh my god, Elon Musk loves Bitcoin. No, so let's just be real. Straight after, he also says one word, Dogecoin. So if anyone knows, Elon Musk is very interested in Dogecoin, which is kind of a meme version of Bitcoin. It's just Elon's mad for memes, and Dogecoin is basically a meme. And he even has here, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, with the Dogecoin logo on the Tesla shorts. So that's just a bit of Elon just having a bit of fun. He's not going to be, actually off this news, I'm pretty sure Dogecoin is up like 10x at least, or some crazy amount. But yeah, Dogecoin is something I actually would be interested in investing, because I also kind of find it funny to have a coin for absolutely no reason. It's just a meme coin, but it's a decentralized, hard cap coin that is literally just kind of a Reddit. It doesn't really have any function. It's just kind of a joke. So why not have a little bit of it for the crack? But anyway, so the culmination of this tweet storm was just a few days ago, when Bitcoin has been doing very well, as most of you are probably aware. It's been all over the news, gone completely parabolic. But one of the interesting things that Elon Musk has said, he replied to Ben Meisericht or something. So your man Ben says, I will never turn down being paid in Bitcoin again. And Elon Musk replies, me neither. So I'm going to dig a little bit deep into that. But what this could potentially mean is that, and I got this idea from Hyperchange, one of my favorite YouTube channels, Galileo from Hyperchange. So check him out if you're interested in mostly Tesla, but also a little bit about Bitcoin and some other cool stocks. Anyway, this tweet could potentially mean, so Ben Meisericht or whatever is saying, I'll never turn down getting paid in Bitcoin again. Elon Musk doesn't really get paid, but Tesla does get paid by its customers, and those customers now pay with dollars. Potentially, the customers could pay with Bitcoin, and Galileo said this would be an excellent idea, or an excellent way for Tesla to get Bitcoin onto its balance sheet without having to go through potentially as many hurdles as they would need to do it, like the MicroStrategy way, in the way that they converted their balance sheet from dollars into Bitcoin. Potentially might just be easier to allow customers to buy Tesla vehicles directly with Bitcoin. And we know that there's an enormous amount of people who've got extraordinarily wealthy from Bitcoin, and there will probably be, if Bitcoin does well again this year, like I believe it will, get to plus over $100,000 and beyond, which I personally believe it will. Link videos explaining reasons above. But if it does, there's going to be way more millionaires, people with multiple six figures, multiple seven figures in the coming year. And there's always that meme of, once Bitcoin hits this price, I'm going to buy myself a Lambo. There's Bitcoin and Lambo memes all the time. I think Lamborghini is never going to allow you to pay for your Lamborghini with Bitcoin. Well, maybe they will, but I think it would be potentially a very, very smart marketing move to allow customers to pay with Bitcoin directly, just as a marketing tool. So instead of people buying a Lambo, deciding what color Lambo they're going to buy with their Bitcoin, they should be deciding what color Roadster they're going to be buying with their Bitcoin. Like the amount of people who have bought Bitcoin for a few $100s, and now it's $40,000. So many people have 100x or even 1,000x their money, and a lot more people will be 100xing their money next year, or 10xing, or just basically having loads of disposable income within this year. Could be spending on a sports car or an expensive Model S or a Cybertruck potentially. So I think allowing for payments in Bitcoin could not, let's start digging into why this would be beneficial for Tesla, but that could potentially increase Tesla's sales, because all these Bitcoiners would be like, oh cool, Tesla agrees with Bitcoin, I'm crazy about Bitcoin. Like if you're a Bitcoiner like I am, or if you've ever seen Bitcoiners on Twitter, they're kind of religious, they're really so crazy about Bitcoin, and a company that's kind of backing Bitcoin, they will love that. That would really sway them into buying a Tesla, and obviously Teslas are so great anyway, like the best cars in the world and environmentally friendly. But not only would it potentially increase Tesla sales, say Tesla came out in 2 or 3 months and said, we've converted $1 billion into Bitcoin. What do you think that would do for Bitcoin's price in the immediate short term? The biggest auto company in the world, and the person with 30 million followers on Twitter, 40 million people follow Elon Musk on Twitter, and he is one of the most respected people in the entire world, the richest man in the entire world, debatably one of the smartest people in the entire world. If they come out with a Bitcoin position, like, it's not a good thing, but it's an instant win for Tesla, as the moment if they release that news, Bitcoin's price is likely to do very, very well in a very, very short amount of time. So they could quickly, I'd say, at least 50% increase or double the Bitcoin price at the time that they do that. That would also encourage other huge market cap companies to look into putting a portion of their balance sheets into Bitcoin, which would also, of course, increase the price of Bitcoin. What are the other advantages for Tesla to invest in Bitcoin? What would be the advantages if they did this? Instead of having a pile of cash, a huge pile of cash, because they sold loads of shares in the last year because their stock price has gone up, basically vertical, similar to how Bitcoin has done recently, but they've sold shares a couple of times on the way up, so they think their stock is getting a little bit ahead of itself, so they decide to sell some of the shares and convert it into dollars. So now they have this giant amount of cash on their balance sheet, like $20 billion or something, from all the shares that they've sold and the money that they've made. So they have this huge stockpile of cash, and this cash is worth $20 billion in value. And now the central bank this year, out of all the M2 money supply in the world right now, 35% of them were created in 2020. So in this year, 35% of the available dollars in the world were created in 2020. So all hard assets like stocks, like shares, like Bitcoin, like gold, anything, real estate, everything should be going up by 35% just on the back of that increase in money supply. So you're having something that has just been diluted by 35%. No, your purchasing power isn't going to go down by 35% straight away, but over the long term, if they keep printing like 10% a year, as they probably will have to, then the value of this money is definitely going to be deflated. However, if you put a small portion or all of it into a hard asset like Bitcoin that cannot be controlled or inflated by the government or any one entity, then at least your purchasing power should remain constant. So even if you have, I heard this statistic which kind of blew my mind and still blows my mind today, is if you had invested $1 into Bitcoin and $99 just kept in cash for the last 10 years, you would have outperformed the S&P 500 every single year or something crazy like that. Your 1% Bitcoin would have done so well, and the 99% cash would have done so well, it would have beaten the S&P 500. Now, it's unlikely that's going to continue because the law of large numbers, Bitcoin isn't likely to perform that well as it did in the past. However, even potentially putting 10% of your available cash balance into Bitcoin could protect you from the inflation that is likely to come from all this money printing. So maybe just 10%, and if you lose 10%, you lose 2 billion, or if Bitcoin goes down 50%, you lose 1 billion. That's not ideal whatsoever, but potentially worth the risk. You have insurance on the money printing. So if Bitcoin goes to zero, maybe that's because inflation didn't turn out to be the way it was supposed to be, and you still have your 90% cash to spend how you want. But if Bitcoin doubles, triples, quadruples, 10x's, if Bitcoin 10x's, which it definitely could, then you've turned your 10%, you've basically doubled your balance sheet. You've doubled your balance sheet for doing nothing. So that's what Michael Saylor has done. He put $1 billion into Bitcoin, and now it's worth $4 billion. So he's earned $3 billion, much more than his company ever did over 20 years of being a public company. He just made that in a few months by investing in Bitcoin. So if Elon Musk and Tesla decided to invest in Bitcoin, like a lot of this run, not a lot, but I'd say there a few percentage points are definitely thanks to Michael Saylor solely Michael Saylor has illuminated people on the potential for Bitcoin, myself included. So if Elon Musk, the smartest and richest person in the world, and Tesla, one of the most disruptive companies in the world, decided to do this, then I think also this would add a lot of institutional interest and retail interest into Bitcoin again. So personally, I think that would be a great financial move from Tesla, although it shouldn't be their sole focus, like the way MicroStrategy, kind of their sole focus for the last year was Bitcoin. I think Tesla has much bigger fish to fry than just thinking about their balance sheet, because they're growing so much and they're increasing revenue so much. However, MicroStrategy was kind of not really growing very fast. It was kind of just keeping revenues constant, but they had a large balance sheet and they didn't know what to do with it. So now Tesla actually, for the first time in its history, has quite a large balance sheet of cash that they need to protect from inflation, in my opinion. And I think this would potentially be a good move for Tesla. Actually, before I go, I forgot to mention, I missed one of my points here. So Elon Musk, in the past, he was interviewed by Kathy Wood from ARK Invest and there was just one little, she asked him about Bitcoin. Maybe I'll play the clip for you, but Elon describes Bitcoin as quite brilliant, but he says this was like a couple of years ago as well. He says it won't be the primary database, and that's what he thinks the end goal is of money should be just one single database where everything is transacted through this one database. So he doesn't think Bitcoin is that database. So we'll see what happens, but he does at least think Bitcoin is quite brilliant, so that's cool. So he's not a fan of the energy consumption from Bitcoin, but I've talked about that before, and I've kind of refuted that before in the fact that Bitcoin is less energy intensive than gold mining, than the current financial system, and it's potentially going to disrupt gold mining and some of the financial systems that we have today. Alright, so my prediction, by the end of 2021, Elon Musk will have converted some of Tesla's balance sheet into Bitcoin. That's my prediction. Let me know if you agree or disagree. It might create some controversy in the comments, but that's my prediction. I think it will happen. I think I can see in real time Elon Musk's mind changing towards Bitcoin, and I think it already has, or it's about to flip positive, and his eyes are about to be opened to the necessity for Bitcoin for his balance sheet. So with all that said, I really hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye.